Afternoon, everyone. I'm standing between you and beer. I understand that, but I'll be quick. Standard disclaimer. Just on the board side, we have a couple of board members here with us. Richard Morrow, who you probably were expecting in the presentation. He was in the pamphlet, but I bumped him off there, so sorry if anybody's disappointed. But I guess I just wanted to say on this slide, we've had a very stable board now for 3 years. We have not moved anybody in or out, so it's been quite stable, and it's a very good functioning, active board as well. Steve Layton, Richard Morrow, ZPO, and our good chairman Oliver, who is a very active participant. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give notice to our good geologist who's brought a lot of this Mount Carbine tungsten forward, is Tony Bainbridge, that works side by side with me. So I thought I would been here 3 years at Noosa presenting, and I just thought I would show our journey a little bit on the market capitalization and the NPV of the company. So we put out our first BFS at 131 million and got a bloody nose right after that, unfortunately. But anyway, we kept working and drilling, and we put out a second one. And the second year I was here at Noosa, we were at 200 million market cap, and I said, stand by. NPV. Anyway, and then the third year, we just recently put out another resource expansion and updated the BFS to 307. Now, why do we do that instead of drilling it all off? I wanted to get into production as quickly as possible so we don't dilute shareholders, which most of you, I assume, here are shareholders in various juniors and have been diluted. So that was the whole take. Now, the share price accordingly, 2021 when I was here, it was 3 cents, and then we went to 2022 up to 5 cents and then 7 cents, and next year will be 25 cents. Anyway, this to me is a really interesting slide. I know it's too much information, but there's one thing I want you to take out. The European Union has listed tungsten as the #1 of economic importance mineral, if you see it over here on the side. Oh, sorry, over here on the side. And that's including most of the critical metals. It's critical in everybody's books. And why is this critical? Well, this block of tungsten, you know, they've been using tungsten in manufacturing. If China controls 83% of the world's tungsten, Russia another 5% of the world's tungsten. If they stop, like germanium, all manufacturing basically on a lot of products will stop probably within 3 months. And this is all the cutting tools that you see in these ugly lathes around the world. Everybody has used tungsten carbide drills. These are the old uses of tungsten. A lot of the new uses of tungsten are coming in fast charging batteries in the anode components, right? They're in windmill blades. So there's a lot of new uses of tungsten coming in, but it is incredibly critical tungsten, and we had support from the federal government to the tune of $6 million to help us get into production. These are just some of the uses that we talked about in heavy industry, and the interesting. The ramp up for tungsten into the future, we see it as a inflection point, is going to be the U.S. military has announced no more Chinese tungsten after 2026. And secondly, the Niabolt fast charging battery factory coming online in 2025. We see that as the first step in battery manufacturing using tungsten, which is incredibly conductive. So tungsten, you can't melt this. It says 3 times the melting point of steel. Incredibly hard next to diamonds, this metal, and incredibly conductive as well. Can't be replaced. Can't be replaced. Again, supply, demand, like all the other talks on critical metals, demand is, we're seeing that coming on. You need 8 Mount Carbines to satisfy the tungsten coming on in the next few years in order to satisfy the demand for tungsten coming. Where are we located? Just next to the mining town of Port Douglas, which I happen to live in, and drive up the range every day, and it's just absolute stunning setting up on the tablelands. We go up through the rainforest and drive up, and all our workforce comes in from Mariba or from local towns. We don't have a mining camp on site. We currently have probably 120 employees plus more contractors currently up there, so it is a major activity currently right now. Two things I guess I'd point out here is Watershed is right next to us, and Wolfram Camp, both which we've put a bid in for Wolfram Camp, and certainly Watershed is 30 kilometers away from us. We see that heavily on our radar, putting a mining hub around the in that Carbine area. Sorry, sorry, I got a bit of a cold. So this is Noosa 2021. The water was in the pit. 2022, the water's come down a little bit in the pit. And 2023, the water is out of the pit. And 2024, there she goes, first blast. We've had 3 blasts now so far. First one, Golding's buggered up properly, but we forgive them for that, Graham. I seen you there somewhere, so. But anyway, second and third blast were perfect. Anyway, so we're really into the idea is we're into the grade has increased from what we were mining about 7 times higher grade that we're putting through our processing plant. So 2 critical factors for the project development, which we'll get to here right now shortly. But firstly is this ramp up in the production of concentrate. Now we're already starting to see it. We're kind of running at maybe 25% capacity from the mining that we're getting the ramping up of the mining, getting the ramping up of the hard rock crushing, and that's coming online. But that's certainly ramping up very quickly. We're sort of at about 3 times what we have been producing so far. So you can see it, we go from 900 to 1,200 tons currently where we're at, and then we go all the way up. And why is that? It's just a grade related issue. We've already been processing for 2 years, so we know how it handles. In fact, we're seeing higher recoveries than we ever have with the higher grade ore, which was a big question. When you start putting high grade ore in your plant, are you going to see high recoveries? This is the latest BFS, and a couple of numbers that I would draw your attention to. We basically have no debt on the project, or very little, and we've done this by, we make a little money, we bolt something on, and then we did a government grant, and we did a couple of test programs, and then we did a convertible debenture on the equity side of things, and government gave us $6 million. Sandvik put in a $5 million crushing plant. We did a $10 million royalty. So we ended up with virtually no debt on the project, right? So it's we're coming into this in a very good position, and cash flows increased very, very significantly over the next year and climbing. So you can see it goes up to the net present value, which we're currently trading at about 33% of our net present value, which I think is very, very low for the development phase that we're in currently. But who am I to say? That's what all MDs, I suspect, would say. So the project itself in the development phase. So we did this phase 1 project here on the crushing stage. We implemented that. Sandvik is currently implementing the phase 2 crushing phase, and certainly this is the new drilling that we've identified here and all the way up to the west, and I'll get to that just quickly here. Yeah, so what's the next phase? So that's phase 1. Phase 2 was the open pit and getting into the open pit. Phase 3 is this, right, which is really exciting, is this latest round of drilling that we've done out here on Iron Duke and also down here to the west. This is a decline that currently exists, and we're just off the decline. We're finding some stuff that, keep in mind, we've been mining 0.07. We're finding stuff down there that's 2 and 3% grade. That's incredibly rich. So this will be our target in the next 12 months, is to enter this decline, drill this ore zones off here at depth and start getting ready for underground mining into the future. So the open pit gives us 6 years mine life currently. The low-grade stockpile combined with that gives us another 4 years, up to 10. And now the underground, the current resource that we're working on with the 300 million NPV is only 15 to 20% of the known resource on the project to date. Today we put out an announcement on the grade control drilling. So the next question was, well, yeah, you drilled under the pit and you got 30 to 50 meters of depth up to the surface. Is it going to carry up? Are these ore zones? Did you hit the only 20 holes of tungsten that there was? But fortunately not. We come out with our grade control drilling. We did 150 drill holes on the pit floor here, RC angled holes through the ore zone. We're also doing blast holes, and the zones are continuous and very solid. And the first section that we have completed assays back, we're up 20% from our actual reserve drilling that we've done. Again, this was some of the drilling, and you can see it in the pit walls. After we got the water out of it, you can see the ore zones are very solid running up, and they get only better as they get to depth. So that's the other interesting thing that our geological team has found, is that they have certainly an elevation control on mineralization now that's very critical to the tungsten deposit. So if we find very small veins at surface, doesn't mean there isn't anything underneath them. You have to drill about 200 meters off the granites, and that's kind of what we're seeing is the target area. So it's pretty exciting. This is our ESG. We did a whole scenario 3 years ago when I started the company of what our core values were, and we carried through these core values into certain categories, like winning the AMEC Environmental Award this year with our beneficial recycling. Developing a circular economy by using the waste rock out of the XRT ore sorters for quarry material. We have a quarry business that we net cash flow out of as well. And then just buddying up with our partners, including Goldings, if they're here at Graham, and the government and TOMRA on the XRT sorting. So we take great value in partnerships. So just in summary, we're looking at currently into the hard rock mining, grades very good, projects de-risked, increasing life of mine, positive market conditions for tungsten, genuine ESG commitment, experienced team, and staffing is already in place and up and operating for the last 2 years. Thank you very much.